Ciao, and welcome back to Pushbox Banter. I'm Daniel.
And I'm Craig, and we're going to talk about Imola today.
Yeah, cool.
All sorts of good stuff that's surrounding Imola.
That's right.
Yes.
We are in Italy. So the race is officially called Emilia Romagna Grand Prix.
Yes.
So now, Craig, what is Emilia Romagna?
I am not the best at Italian. To me, it always sounds like pasta, but I don't.
It does. Oh my god!
But I know that's not the case.
I don't think it's
so
the case.
Pathetic, isn't it?
Yeah, no. So it's an Italian administrative region, and it most famously has Modena, Parma, Ravenna, and Bologna.
Bologna. Yes,
that's right.
And so it's kind of a region, like if you're looking at it at a map. I don't know about you guys, but my Italian geography is a little sketch on certain areas. So this is like, if you find Florence and you find Venice a little bit further up north, it's on its way to Venice.
So, all right. Yeah, exactly.
Like if you drew a curved line. That's real definitive.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if we dial it in a little further, if we zoom in, near Bologna is Imola, and that's where we'll be going this weekend, right?
Yes.
Excellent. So the race itself has had 3 names.
Talk to me. Tell me.
Okay. So officially first known as the Italian Grand Prix.
Okay.
Later, the San Marino Grand Prix. And actually that one has really interesting history because of the Senna thing and all that stuff, right? Lots of...
That's where... Yeah, the bad dark stuff. That's where Senna passed away.
Exactly.
San Remo.
1994.
94, yeah.
And then most recently, it's now called Emilia Romagna. So, old school turn names, right? So you have 2, 3, and 4. Tamburello, that's where Senna passed. 5, 6, the Villeneuve turns. And then 9, Paratella. I love these names. Aqua Minerale.
That's my favorite name out of all of them.
And then 18, that leads to the DRS zone Rivasa, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So
those two, the Aqua Minerale and the Rivasa, are the ones that they talk about. Like those are like the big keys for the race.
Yes, exactly.
How you do on those turns.
Exactly. And then the track itself, actually, Enzo was at the track when it was being built and was basically saying like, hey, this track is like a mini Nürburgring. So meant to be fast. Obviously, it's been changed quite a few times because of all the accidents that have happened there. So not exactly the race as we used to know it, but still a pretty cool track.
Yeah. I mean, the nickname of this place is called the Temple of Speed.
Yes.
Which I love. I think that's
pretty cool.
It's probably the coolest nickname out of all of them.
Yeah.
If I had to vote.
Enzo called it the Nürburgring, a small Nürburgring. Right. What else do we have actually that's recent in the news about the ring?
This week, Max Verstappen / Franz Hermann, a full tank of gas with traffic, and he set the track record or the lap record. Yeah, pretty cool, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he was kind of like
under a different name, which was
he was driving a Ferrari, which is
was a Ferrari car, yeah. And then he had like all of his Red Bull outfit and his Red Bull helmet and everything. And said Verstappen on it. He had the visor up. I mean, it was weird because it was like under a different name. So it definitely drew attention to himself because it was a different name, but maybe not as much leading up to.
Right. I'm sure. Yeah. I think he was testing for some reason, right? Like we don't know exactly why he was doing that. But
it was not an F1 car. It was
right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty cool. Well, some other things in the news. We had Valtteri Bottas. We found out he has some clauses in his contract that doesn't allow him to free climb. Because he's adventurous. Apparently this last winter break, he was in the south of Australia swimming with sea lions. And I guess the day he was swimming with sea lions, that week there was some like shark attacks and he didn't care. He was just like, I'm going to do this.
Yeah. I mean,
why not?
Yeah. The attacks had already happened.
Exactly. The odds are gone.
The odds are down. I mean, they've already happened.
Yeah, exactly.
The shark's been fed.
James Vowles. James Vowles came into the spotlight because of the drama with Albon and Sainz. Obviously, Sainz said he had lost some confidence. He's like, I'm losing confidence in everything, like really dramatic, right? James Vowles came out and said, hey, like this isn't going to happen again. This was a team call. There's some miscommunication. He had said, I guess they had alerted Sainz that Albon wasn't going to attack, but he was already on DRS and like basically next to him. So they didn't necessarily give the same instruction to both drivers. That's what James was saying.
Okay.
And I believe him. You know, he's just like one of the best managers in F1. So right now, let's see how that goes with Team Williams, right?
I think it keeps going well.
Weren't you saying there was Williams was still in the news because of Claire Williams?
Yeah, so Claire Williams came out and was talking about George Russell. And so back in the days when Russell was on the Williams team, Mercedes was trying to get him out of contract and go to Mercedes. So there was negotiations going on there between Mercedes and Williams to see where Russell would go. So in doing that, Claire Russell was in the comments she was making was like she regretted a little bit of how she had to handle that. She was like, I had to handle it what was best for the team, but she said it really wasn't what was best for George Russell at the time, and that she's always she doesn't like that. She didn't like it wasn't something where she like hated herself for that, but it was like she wished that she could have done best for both. Basically.
She probably hated herself for losing the team.
I think,
I think so rude.
It was probably true. I mean,
I know.
I'm pretty sure that she doesn't like that. That's had to happen.
Yeah, I know.
But because she's still involved in a lot of sport and motorsport and everything, trying to help promote women. And I think there's a goal now. After they heard us talking about women in sport, now there's a goal for a woman F1 driver by 2030. So
hey, it should be merit based. Like
yeah, but I mean they've got time where there's time to where they can earn that.
Right, of course. I mean there needs to be
a goal.
There needs to be an infrastructure. Somebody's got to allow them an opportunity to be able to do the F3, F2, etc. Right, and to have that like opportunity to just get chosen instead of like F1 Academy.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
yeah.
All right, cool. Well, that's interesting. So, Craig, let's talk about 2026. What do we think? What do we think is going to happen? Like, silly season is kind of happening already. We have Jack Doohan in the news, right? Because he is now getting swapped. Not fired, but swapped.
Yeah.
I'm sure he saw it coming. I think we all did. I think we called it.
We did.
I think I had said Miami, actually.
You did, yes.
I did. I'm pretty sure I did. And sure enough, he made it to Miami, and he no longer is driver. So they went for Calapinto, right? So they're saying 5 races for Calapinto, I guess to see how he's going to do, right? And even after that, there's an opportunity for maybe even another driver if Calapinto doesn't deliver. Some have probably mentioned like possibly Perez. There's a lot of names circulating in that team right now. So first off, what do we feel about Jack Doohan?
I feel for Jack Doohan. I feel sorry for him. I think that he's not on the best team. I think he's underperformed in that car. I think he could do better than what he's done. At the same time, like he's pushed the car to the limits on some of the cases. But at this point, I don't know if he's going to have like a future as an F1 driver. If this was like his one shot, or if another shot will come along. I think that he does have a definitely promising career, whether that's in a different motorsport or if that's as an announcer or in the media.
Yeah.
I mean, he would always show up there. Always did a great job. People love talking to him. Everybody likes him.
Right.
So I think that he has a promising career whichever way he goes. Now,
Yeah.
does that mean that he's an F1 driver and has a promising career there? I don't know on that. Obviously, he's going to need another shot, but he's still young. Maybe he does.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think he was set up to fail from the very beginning. I think he had a target on his back, and he had Calapinto kind of there waiting, and I think everybody was just expecting him to fail, and those expectations, plus apparently lots of, I guess, I don't want to say literally people, I guess, were like bombarding him and, getting into his personal emails. And I think he had to get security and things like that.
Gosh,
So from the very beginning, I think he just was on just the wrong, like a downward path, and it just self-fulfilled.
That's a tough thing for him because, like, he goes from being a reserve driver. There's a certain level of scrutiny that you have there. There's a certain level of scrutiny that you have, like if you're on the media, talking on the camera, whatever. Right. But then to go into the F1 position is even a higher level of scrutiny. And also you deal with all sorts of weird things that could happen.
Right.
So you need like people that you trust that are around you to kind of help manage your situation that you're in. If he doesn't have the best people or the people that find out and deal with those things before he finds them, that's a lot of extra stress on somebody to manage, especially a young person that's getting in there and having to deal with that type of stuff. And I think too, adding like as soon as he was hired into that position, then they hired Calapinto as a backup driver. Like what? Like why?
It's like everybody's expectations already was that Calapinto's a much better driver than he.
Yeah.
So you're starting with that you're already kind of losing.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know, how is he going to do? Like, Calapinto did well at Williams, but he also had like 3 DNFs.
Right. I mean, he had some brilliant drives, but also inexperienced, right?
Yeah.
So
how's it going to show up here? We'll see. It'll be exciting. He was always fun to watch. Yeah. It seems like a good guy.
So we'll see. And
he's also well financed too.
That's right. And
he's a well sought out driver.
Yeah.
If he can pressure Gasly or just be close to Gasly on a consistent basis, that's really good.
Right. Agreed.
Duhan was inconsistent with that.
Right. Now, what about Red Bull? So we've got Honda going away next year officially. What happens to Yuki?
Well, that's going to be an interesting question. Like, a lot of it depends on how he does so far. Like, so far his results haven't been that great. He has done some things in qualifying where he seems like he's had some good qualifying sessions. He's also had given Max Verstappen some really good toes in qualifying sessions that have somewhat like negatively impacted him as well. And so, do they take that into account? I don't know. How does he race? How does he drive in some of the races? He kind of had an incident. And, so I don't know. I could see them looking for somebody else unless he really just starts to shine. If I was them, I would look for somebody else because I don't think that they're sold on him. He's got to really perform this year for them to sell.
Wow.
Or for them to be bought. I'm really not saying that correctly, but you get what I mean. Like in order for Red Bull to buy Yuki for another season, he's got to do a great job this year, and he's got to step it up way beyond what he's doing so far. But I think he's doing all right so far.
Yeah.
He's doing better than Lawson
was.
was.
He's been loyal, and it doesn't seem like he's very intimidated by Max. I think he's doing his own thing, and he's doing so.
Yeah.
All things considered, at the same time, Red Bull isn't like a loyal employer, right? So, once Honda's gone, what's the motivation for them to keep him outside of he's okay? And like you said, I don't think okay is good enough for them.
No.
Even if that car is kind of garbage this year. So
if okay is not good enough, then they're going to look someplace else. So do they look down, do they look at Hajar?
I think
do
so.
Do they go back to Lawson?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so. Lawson would have to
they would want
a serious
to.
turn this year, and he's not so far he hasn't.
So
come
let's
close.
talk Hajar. I think Hajar could be Max. I like him too.
Yeah, I think
he's great.
He drives really well.
I think so too. He could get promoted. We've seen Red Bull promote pretty quickly, so why not give Hajar a go and see how that kind of pans out?
Isn't there another guy below him, like in F2?
Yeah. So now I guess that takes us to the Racing Bulls, right? So if Liam stays, which I expect they might give him another year.
There's got to be some weird contractual issue.
I'm sure.
If he keeps performing like he is right now, I don't see why they keep him.
So I don't. Yeah. Well, I want to say they keep him because he's got the backing of Helmet, but it could be that he's not on the grid next year. I doubt it, but who knows? So if it's him, his teammate would probably be Arvid Lindbald, and he's an F2 driver currently, and they're labeling him like the next Max. So, I mean, he's still young. I think he's 17, but yeah, he could be the guy that replaces Hajar if Hajar were to get promoted.
So, question for you: If this guy Lindbald or
Lindblad. Yeah.
So, if this guy is really the next Max Verstappen. Because Max Verstappen, didn't they move him directly to Red Bull?
No.
Did they start him with the Racing Bulls?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He was at Toro Rosso for a short stint, and then they moved him up.
Then maybe that's what they'll do. Maybe, if Yuki doesn't really shine for him, and let's say Hajar has a great year, they they move Hajar into that role, then they've got that other seat that's opened up, and they put him in. If he's old enough to drive, get his super license,
right?
Supercar, yeah.
Well, now we already touched a little bit on Alpine, and we touched on Bottas a little bit, but they're going to come up again here. So Alpine for 2026, who do you see driving, or who do you see driving next to Gasly?
Ooh, for 26.
I
think they're going to keep going with somebody that's younger. I don't see them going with like a Bottas. But yeah, I think that they keep going with somebody that's young. Now,
are you saying they keep on with Colapinto? Or?
Yeah, I say if Colapinto is decent, they'll keep with him. I say that, but there's rumors out there that they're interested in Perez.
That's right. So Flavio, I think, is a fan of his. So we'll see how that goes. I think it'd be a terrible move for Perez.
I do too. Unless that's his only move. Do you think that?
I don't think it's his only move.
I don't think so either
right
now.
I
think it might be negotiations for him.
Right now, I think it's negotiations. He's been rumored to go to a couple of teams. Most recently, with Jack Doohan and Colapinto being fresh, his name has kind of come up alongside Alpine. And it turns out that back when Alpine was Renault, they were keen on signing Perez. So I think there's a little bit of history there, and they wouldn't be against it. So
yeah.
Speaking of Perez, then we have Cadillac, right? Cadillac. Do you think they're going to have an American driver?
I mean, are we saying American as in United States of American driver? But if we're saying North American driver, I think yes.
All right, yeah.
I think Perez is going with Cadillac.
Yeah, I think that's the most obvious place for Perez. But then we also have an American or U.S.
a United States American
U.S.
driver?
American driver in probably Colton Herta. But it's come out that it's not a for sure thing because they're really looking at merit, which kind of brings up Valtteri Bottas again. Yeah. Could it be a Bottas-Perez pairing? Wouldn't that be amazing?
I think that would be awesome.
I think that would be awesome too. Yeah. The two number 2 drivers from Mercedes, and Red Bull, I love it.
I mean that's literally
my 2 favorite drivers too. Put together, I love it. I'd be Team Cadillac all the way.
I think it'd
Cadillac, be Bottas, Perez.
Please.
Or alternatively, it could be Hertas. I'm sorry, Hertas.
It would be Hertas. Yes.
Herta and Bottas.
Yes.
Hertas or Perta or Perez Hertas. So really three options there, right? Mm-hmm. And then we have Mercedes. So Russell's been in the news a lot. We just talked about him, right? About his move to Mercedes kind of being hindered by Claire.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have Antonelli. Antonelli's a for sure thing that he's a wonder kid right now. He's going to stay for a while. Is it Antonelli Russell?
Yes.
For 2026?
Yes. I mean, who else is Mercedes going to get that's better than Russell? I mean, the only ones out there are Max Verstappen, really. Maybe Charles Leclerc. Maybe
so I think it still all hinges
or Piastri.
Yeah, it all hinges on Max, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Toto's saying he's not really pursuing him. But that's not true.
That's not true. He's open to that idea.
He's totally open to it.
But I mean, in all honesty,
and Russell's waiting as well.
Yeah, and Russell's waiting. But I mean, Russell's driving great.
He's
gonna by the. I think he's gonna. I think he very well. It pains me to say this, but I think he very well may score more points this year than Max Verstappen.
It could be if he's finishing third consistently.
Yeah,
for sure.
I mean, I think that he. Gosh, it's hard for me to say it, but I really think that he will.
I know.
I don't want.
I kind of don't want him to either. So we have. It could be Antonelli Russell. Then, like we said, Antonelli Max, and then a curveball could be Antonelli Perez. If Russell ends up going to Red Bull,
do you think really with Perez?
Yeah. So think about it, right? Like when Perez was in Racing Points.
Mm-hmm.
And they had basically a lower version of the Mercedes back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
He helped develop. I mean, he won a race with that car. Mm-hmm. Like he knows that Mercedes engine power unit. So I wouldn't doubt that they'd be interested in signing him. Mm-hmm. And Toto's always seems to have said some good stuff about Perez. So I think it's a possibility. If there's nothing left for them to choose from, Perez is a great option, I think.
Well, I mean, do you think that they would go Perez over Bottas?
I think so.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so because they already know what they're going to get with Bottas.
That's true.
So Perez comes with a lot of sponsorship.
A lot of sponsorship, but also sponsorship from a different portion of the world. That really in F1 nobody else has. Well, Calapinto kind of a little bit, but not like Perez.
Not like Perez.
Yeah.
Exactly. So we'll see.
He brings the money.
So Alpine in the news for other reasons. So Ollie Oakes, their team manager.
Yes, Oliver
their
Oakes.
Team principal.
Yes.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So
he quit.
He basically quit. So it was kind of interesting because he's going along and Alpine's they're having a better year this year than they did last year.
Yeah.
And he's, Gasly's doing well, and then you got Doohan. And so there were a lot of rumors swirling around that, and he was supporting Doohan.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, like, he quits. Calapinto's in. So then everybody's like, what happened? Was he really that big of a supporter? Was this a deal that, that his bosses said, no, you got to do this? And he's like standing up for his driver. And so he quits. And then some more interesting things come out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, so you start getting news out of London that William Oakes, who is Oliver Oakes' brother, that he was arrested for. He was
holding on to a whole lot of cash. Criminal property.
Transferring criminal property, which basically, in this case, he had a whole bunch of cash on him. And he's basically moving around with a whole bunch of cash. Now, how much cash? I don't know. That hasn't been specified. But I'm thinking more than a wallet's worth.
Right.
Yeah. And so the interesting thing about this is that they're in, what is it, high tech?
So they're like, right. Yeah. I think they chair high tech holdings, which is like they basically own some junior Formula racing teams, right?
Yeah. So this high tech, it's high tech racing, and they have F2, F3, and F1 Academy teams, And so in those, they, back in the early 2000s up until 2022, what is it?
Dmitry Mazepin.
Mazepin,
right?
Yes, Mazepin, a part owner, a big portion,
Majority
of that.
owner,
majority owner, and he transferred his shares over to Oliver Oaks. So, and that was back in 22. Mazepin has supposedly is tied with Putin. Allegedly, yes. So there's some ties there, allegedly, and but that's there. So everybody's thinking, okay, well, is this money like for payment back to them? Because there's some other like holding companies that they're tied to and everything. So, Oliver Oaks, like he quits Alpine. He doesn't go back home.
Where does he go?
Dubai. Yeah.
Do we think he'll be there for like 7 years or something? Or like how long is that?
I don't know. I mean, like what, I guess we'll find out more as we find out more about William Oaks and what he's really like, the details of what he's been charged with. And is Oliver Oaks incriminated in some form or fashion to this?
Correct.
And there's possibly, with him being, part of the owner of these things.
Yeah, I'm sure there's
probably some potential incriminations there. Now,
allegedly,
yes, to use the legal terms.
Yeah.
So now the guy that is taking over his place, I'm not thinking of his name.
Briatore,
yes. So Briatore has an interesting past as well. He has a past that includes a lot of legal situations / issues, charges that were against him that were filed in the EU years ago. And one of the things that he did is he moved to like the U.S. Virgin Island or to the Virgin Islands, somewhere in the Caribbean, and lived there until basically the statute of limitations passed. Yeah. And so he could move back and not be charged by those things anymore. So I don't know if he's given some advice to Oliver Oaks or not. I don't know. I would love to find out.
I mean,
I don't know.
Lots of coincidences there.
Lots of coincidences. Yeah, but this story's pretty big. I mean, the New York Times is reporting on it.
Yeah.
So, so more to come on that. It's really, really interesting. Wow. Yeah. So we've had, this past week has been pretty eventful too. And I think we do need to talk about this one other thing since the race is going to be in Italy. One of the things that happened this past week is that there was a new pope that was elected.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yes. So, it's the first American-born pope. Was it Leo the 14th?
Papa Americano.
Yes, right. Yes, he's from your favorite town, Chicago.
My favorite town.
Yes.
My hometown.
Yes, lived most of his time in the Catholic Church. He spent his ministry in Peru and helping impoverished people. Yeah. So, kind of cool story there. How does that tie into F1? Other than it being in Italy? Well, I thought you guys would want to know. So the last time that a pope was elected, and the next race was an F1 race in Imola, a driver with the first name of Kimi won.
Get out.
So the question is, will another Kimi win this time?
Wow, I do hope so after this.
It would be so freaking cool if it did.
All right.
Just the coincidences
we'll find out shortly here. Because again, this is 1 week in advance.
It's pre-recorded, so yes.
Exactly.
We'll find out.
Keep listening.
Yes.
All right. Well, Craig.
Daniel.
Let's talk about the race.
Yes.
All right. So qualifying.
Yeah, dude.
What'd you think?
Qualifying had some really interesting stuff going on with it. So we've got stuff with Tsunoda, Colapinto, and Ferrari, and Aston Martin. Then you got McLaren and Red Bull,
and
Verstappen.
Red Bull, yeah.
I mean,
just name all the teams.
Let me name all the teams for everybody because we don't know
exactly.
But in this case, so Q1, Tsunoda has a huge crash. Flips over, does a skateboard type grind on top of the wall. Was wild. Thinks that there's a halo on his car, but
thank goodness for that halo.
Totally destroyed the car. To the point where, like, when you first see it, you're wondering, one, is he going to be able to walk or be okay and be alive? Two, is he going to be able to get out of the car? Three, are they going to be able to repair the car later? So, there was that.
they were able to do all of those things. He survived.
Yes.
They repaired the car.
Yes, they did. And
well,
yeah, and he walked away too.
Yeah, he did walk away.
Yeah, happy
And
Sonoda.
yeah, he started in 20th. So
Yeah, started from pit row.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was one thing. So we've got that going on. And then at the end of Q1, Franco
Colapinto. So not a good start to his new year with Alpine.
Not the best start.
I think Flavio had mentioned you can't crash and race fast, and he crashed.
Yes.
And it was pretty bad.
Yeah, it was. It was pretty bad.
Yeah.
I mean, all the tires, I think, looked like they had fallen off and were hanging on by the tethers. So yeah, so he had a good enough time to get into Q2.
Yeah.
However, his car was nowhere close to being able to be rideable, drivable, whatever.
Not after that crash. Nope.
You know, but on its own after that crash. So he was out there. So that happened with a minute, 2 minutes left in Q3. So actually probably less than that. It was Oliver Behrman. Yeah, it was less. It
was
than
like
that.
30 seconds.
Yeah, like 30 seconds
yeah.
or so. So Oliver Behrman's on the very last lap, and he ends up like, I think like 9th or 10th, something like it was a great run for him.
Yeah.
And because when he crossed the finish line, it was under the red flag, it didn't count.
It didn't count.
So he gets pushed back to start 19th for the
Terrible.
race. Yeah, bad luck for him.
Colapinto took out Behrman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not good.
Yeah, so Colapinto does move on to 16th, but that's as far as he goes from there.
Yeah.
So the other interesting thing, so this race, it was the first time that Pirelli has used the C6 compound for
That's
tires.
right.
So that's the softest that they made. It's softer than any that they made last year.
Right.
So this is the first race that it's been introduced. And so all of the drivers in qualifying, they want to go on softs. Everybody's thinking that they're going to go fast.
Yep.
But the other concern is that it may take just too long for them to warm up those tires to give them enough grip to where they can really put in the fastest flying lap.
Right.
So that was one of the questions. Is that going to happen? So Q2 comes around. And then our buddies at Aston Martin decide to gamble. Yeah. So they roll the dice and they go with the mediums, which basically is last year's soft tires, right?
Exactly.
So they end up making it into Q3. First time, I think. I don't know about Alonso, but I know it's...
they
I think
both
that's the
did,
first time for both of them to do that this year.
Amazing.
Yeah. So,
good for them.
Big round of applause
good
for them. I was proud of Aston Martin. They did some upgrades too, so they were looking good.
They were looking quick.
Yeah, get into Q3, and Aston Martin doesn't. I mean, they don't really perform. They're kind of at the back, and then we've got, our typicals up at the front. We've got Russell. Actually, Russell goes with the medium in Q3.
Right.
The only Russell and Aston Martin were the only ones that did that in Q3, and he ends up getting third. Then we've got Norris going at fourth, Piastri second,
Max
and
Verstappen.
Max Verstappen pulling it out of nowhere.
Yep.
Well, not really out of nowhere, but he comes in first, gets pole position.
And going back to fifth, Fernando Alonso.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's great for Alonso.
Really
it's
good.
It's been quite some time since he's been that close.
Yeah.
But so we had Alonso there, Sainz at 6th, Albon 7th.
Yeah.
But the crazy thing, so Ferrari.
Oh, gosh.
Ferrari did not make it to Q3. It's the first time at Imola that both Ferrari drivers didn't make it to Q3.
That's crazy.
Their home race.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And that was because of Aston Martin.
Yeah, because of Aston Martin.
Yeah.
Freaking Aston Martin.
Out of nowhere.
I know.
Well, Adrian Newey's making his mark now, huh?
It may be. I mean, they say that he hadn't really worked on the car, but they did a bunch of upgrades this weekend.
Right.
So, hey, everything's going great for them. Ferrari, man, Leclerc, Hamilton, super frustrated after that qualifying session.
That's right.
Yeah. So they end up 11th and 12th.
Wow. In front of the Tifosi.
Mm-hmm.
Terrible.
Tifosi. Yeah. Tears for the Tifosi.
Yeah. Tears for them.
Yes. So, good stuff.
Yeah.
A lot
now,
of good stuff.
the start of the race, we had Verstappen.
Yes. Verstappen starting. Then we've got Well, actually, let me take that back. I just told you guys wrong. Verstappen did not get pole. He did come in first at one point in Q3 where he was holding on, but Piastri ends up beating him.
Yeah,
Verstappen comes back for a final lap and can't beat him. He beats him sector 1, but he's behind the rest of the way. So Piastri's on pole.
So you have Piastri, Max Verstappen,
George Russell, then Norris. Yeah.
Alonso.
Yes.
So the race starts. Yes. Piastri's up in front. He gets a decent launch.
Off the line, yeah.
Russell has an exceptional launch.
Mm-hmm.
Verstappen, not so much.
Right.
But something happens.
Yes.
Going into the first corner, it seems like Piastri kind of slows down a little bit.
It was weird.
It like backs off just a bit,
just
right?
a hair.
Yeah, just a hair. Russell goes crazy. Like, what's going on over here?
Yeah.
And Max Verstappen overtakes both of them on the outside.
Dude, it was brilliant.
Wasn't it?
Brilliant.
It really was.
Right into the first curve, into the second curve. He's just slightly ahead. Has apex. Kind of gives the gentlemanly nod at Piastri. I mean, he passes maybe that far. Maybe a foot.
He was ahead at the apex, and Piastri did good to kind of give him some space. I mean, it was fair racing, and he kind of took off from there. I mean, he had just clean air.
Right.
Piastri
I was surprised.
was struggling to keep up with the Red Bulls.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I know. I was pretty happy with that.
I think Piastri was taking a page from Lando Norris.
He might have been.
Was like, hey, just go ahead.
The talk about manifesting, like you're supposed to, when you manifest things, and you want to move up in the world, and you hang around people that are already there.
Right. Exactly.
So, he's got some issues there. If he's going to hang around Lando, is he always going to be second?
Possibly.
Possibly. So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Yeah, that was if you guys didn't see it, you need to go back and watch it. It was a brilliant start.
It was.
Brilliant maneuver on Max Verstappen's place. I got chill bumps when it happened. Yeah. I was in awe, and I couldn't speak for a little bit.
And you were like, oh my goodness.
Go back and watch it.
Yeah.
It was amazing. Yeah.
It really was. Good race overall, though, right?
It was. I was expecting it to be a little boring because there's not a lot of overtakes.
It is a very narrow track too.
Yeah, narrow track. On the start there were hardly any overtakes, but then we had some good, not so good luck for a couple of people, but some good luck for making some more excitement during the race.
Yeah, some people pitted a little bit early,
mm-hmm.
and we're talking between the first couple laps to lap 12. Some people were pitting early. Then some others were kind of waiting and waiting and waiting, and that waiting paid off.
It did.
Who did it pay off for?
Well, it definitely paid off for Max Verstappen.
Max Verstappen, Lando Norris. Yeah, they were.
Lando Norris, Max Verstappen.
Yeah, both of them.
Lewis Hamilton also paid off big time for him.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. Piastri at lap 19, they call him in, maybe he's lap 18, but they call him in, and then right after he goes into the pit, then there's a safety car.
That's right. And he had a slow stop too.
Yeah, he did.
That's right.
He did. So he ends up losing big time there.
That's right.
And it kind of shapes the rest of the race for him because at that point, his tires are not in the same window as Verstappen and Norris.
Yeah.
Comes back later because they have another safety car later in the race. And
that's right.
At the restart, he ends up, right behind Verstappen, but he can't make any inroads, and Norris ends up overtaking him.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. What do you think about all that? Like with McLaren and with Red Bull, is it still McLaren by far, or did Red Bull make some inroads? Are they cutting into the how much better those cars are and shrinking that distance down?
They were saying that McLaren took more of a high downforce approach, so it could be that the car maybe just this race was a little slower.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that Red Bull had some updates to their nose and front wings, so it could be that it was just for this race that they had a little bit better pace, but I think we'll be able to tell for sure in Monaco, which we'll get to in a little bit. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? Is it over for McLaren? Is this the end of their.
Yes.
Or is that an overreaction?
Yeah, definitely. I think that would be an overreaction. I think that could be my overreaction for the day is that McLaren's dominant done for the year. They will not win another race. No, I don't think so. I think that McLaren will be back. There's still, I mean, you're still talking like very marginal,
right?
Marginally off.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, throughout the race, Max Verstappen was way far ahead at times, but.
Right.
You know, the yellow cars would the yellow flags would kind of neutralize that. But,
right.
But overall, like lap times and so forth, their lap times are really, really close.
Right.
To Red Bull this weekend. So I think it's more like a track setup.
I agree. I think it's a track thing. Also positioning.
Yeah,
that free air was pretty big for Red Bull. So
yeah. Well, and also like, okay, so Red Bull, you got Yuki Tsunoda starting 20th.
That's right.
He ends up at 10th.
Right. Yeah, that's right. Right as Piastri came out of the pits too, right? So
yeah, that's true.
Tried to hold him up. Didn't really happen.
Maybe for a turn or two.
Yeah, didn't really happen. But
yeah.
I kind of shows you that. I mean, that Red Bull car was doing a lot better if Tsunoda starting 20th, really in pit lane, ended up 10th. Like it was a decent drive for him at least.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the safety cars. So Ocon had engine failure.
Yes.
But what happened with Kimi? Was it the same or was it something in his suspension?
Yeah, I'm not sure which that was, but
it's kind of a shame.
Yeah,
Your
it was
prediction didn't come true.
I know. I don't know if it was my official prediction there. Let's not go overboard, but it was my hope. You know, the last time that a pope was elected, that a different Kimi won that race. So I was hoping that this time, that the pope was elected, that another Kimi would win, which would be pretty awesome.
And do it in front of his classmates.
Possible but very improbable for him.
Right.
But yeah, at home, at his home race, in front of his classmates, which was pretty cool. Like he got tickets for all of his classmates to come to the race.
Yeah.
So that was pretty fun. There were videos of him earlier this week where he would go to class, he would get out of his car, and then walk up to the other students, and they would all kind of come around and want him to take selfies with them and sign stuff and everything. So pretty cool. Pretty cool
really
experience
cool.
for him. Yeah.
Well, I mean, there was a few people who lost out. Leclerc being one of them had a little radio message where he's like cursing the world for his luck. He really does have bad luck too. It happens all the time.
I think he manifested it for himself.
It could be.
I mean, he you look at him and you look at Lando Norris, and whenever something bad happens, they're the first to just talk horrible about themselves and their surroundings and all life in general. Like Max Verstappen, when stuff gets bad, he gets angry about it, but then he moves on. And he goes on to the next thing. Lewis Hamilton, same thing. Like they don't sit there and go like overboard on this stuff. They may be upset in the moment, but they get past it.
Right.
Does Leclerc, does Norris, maybe they do off camera, but when they're on camera, it seems like it takes a little bit longer for them. And maybe that's right. There's very slim margins between victory and defeat in F1. And it may be the same with the mindset as well. And that mindset might be just slightly different.
That's true.
And that may be all that's really keeping them back.
Wow, that's deep.
It's a racecraft zen right there. But Ferrari this weekend. The qualifying was horrible, but then in the race,
a little bit of a redemption in the race. Though.
There was. Their racecraft was good.
A little bit of bad luck, but also a little bit of a good luck.
They had good luck.
Yeah, they did. They really did.
They benefited off the safety cars. And Hamilton, he ends up coming in fourth, his highest finish in a Grand Prix for Ferrari. That's right. It's at their home track, which is great for them. I mean, it's not like last year with Leclerc winning. But, fourth for them and fourth for him, that's really good.
Yeah.
They did beat Mercedes in both cars.
That's right.
So that was really good.
Yeah.
I thought Leclerc, and also like for him to start in 12th and then move all the way up to 4th on a track that's not known for being able to overtake.
Right. So again, with the help of a safety car, but sure.
Yeah. Everybody else had those safety cars. Some people moved down. Aston Martin moved all the way down to the bottom pretty much. So
that's true.
Yeah. So, I mean, it could have gone that way for them. So, but Leclerc, he ends up a couple of places in 6th. Williams, before we go to Williams, Ferrari, like really, and they had good pace all day in both cars. They had good strategy during the race.
Yeah.
And I think that they may have found a little bit more about that car and moving in the right direction, because before the race, they're talking about, hey, their gearbox is, they didn't realize this, but it's placed incorrectly where it's messing up with the aerodynamics and causing like less traction on the rear wheels.
How do they fix that though? Is that fixable?
Well, I mean, I think it's fixable. I mean, there's slight little adjustments that they can make. Now, will they make them? Does it, with the cost, all the costs and everything, is it something that they're able to do?
Do they sacrifice next year's car?
Or maybe they figured out, oh, well, if we just do this other little thing on this other portion of the aerodynamics, does it fix that? Does it solve that?
Right.
And I think that they got something.
They'll figure it out. Because, I mean, they've got the resources for sure.
Right. Like last year, the quality was really good. The race pace was pretty good. This year, like their qualities have been kind of hit or miss.
Yes, but
they
also
miss than hit.
And they also have a new driver, right? Who's not familiar with how that car drives. So
yeah, I think he's settling in. I think he's starting to get a better feel for it. Proof's in the pudding.
Yeah, no, I had predicted that he wouldn't beat Leclerc all year, and he did it in Imola. So there you go. I mean,
I'm glad that you pointed that out, because I was going to, but
well, yeah, he did it. So let's see if he can continue that to Monaco. We'll see. But let's talk about Williams. So Williams was looking good. Obviously, we talked about how they were doing good in quali. They killed it in Q2. They made it to Q3. I think they placed 7th and 6th. Mm-hmm. And then in the race, they kind of flip-flopped. Albon was definitely looking a lot quicker. Mm-hmm. He made it to 5th, and then Sainz in 8th. Albon had a nice little challenge with the Ferrari of Leclerc, and that literally went to the very last lap where he overtook him. Or should I say he was let by?
He was let by, yes.
Right. Of course.
Well, because like a few laps before, they're battling. Albon's trying to pass Leclerc.
Right.
And it is extremely tight. Like it full speed, like I couldn't tell. Right. I don't think anybody could really tell. It's more of a matter of opinion at full speed, like which one is further ahead during the apex or not.
It was very similar to the Verstappen Piastri.
It really was, yeah.
So they were very close. Piastri did leave the space for that car, and Leclerc didn't, and he made Albon go off the road, and he was about to get penalized for possibly 5 seconds.
Yeah, so they didn't know, like they put it under investigation, and then Ferrari came over and said, hey, Leclerc, give the place back. Yeah. We think this is going to, and so they did. Now in analysis afterward, they were looking at it and going, yeah, we think that they would have penalized him, and if it was a 5-second penalty, it's
how many places
he would have dropped back to where it was at the very bottom of the points versus just losing one place. So Ferrari made the right call there.
Just a little bit of bad luck for Leclerc.
Well, you get what you focus on.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
And Colapinto, he didn't do that good in the race either. So we know he had screwed up in quali, but in the race, he ended 16th.
So, I mean, he lost one place.
Yeah.
Is that good? Is that bad? I mean, I think he may have been doing a little bit better before one of the safety cars, but, considering I don't know, that's kind of a costly race. Like, he totally trashes the car. They have to rebuild the whole thing overnight. So, not as good of a start as he would have liked, I'm sure. Right. But at least he did finish the race and didn't wreck out again. But that's one of the concerns that I have with him is when he was with Williams, he had 3 DNFs.
That's right.
He's
a fast racer.
Mm-hmm. And he's a good racer when he's
good, on. But he does crash a lot.
Yeah, it seems like so far. But he's got 4 more races to look at. If he does well, if he doesn't wreck and he's moving up in the points and helping Gasly, they'll probably keep him around. The question is if he doesn't do well, then what do they do?
Exactly.
Is Drew Han on deck? I don't know. We'll have to see.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Very good. Any other items from the race?
I mean, Mercedes, Russell, rear suspension issues. He dropped down on the grid.
That's right.
Antonelli, we already kind of mentioned that. Yeah. I guess one of the things is like, did Tsunoda do enough this weekend for him? Like to him to raise Red Bull's opinion of him, or did it lower their opinion of him?
So we talked about this last week, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that he did enough this race, but I don't think he's there yet where he needs to worry, right?
Okay.
So he just needs to be better and pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And it doesn't help that he wrecks that car.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't help. So Monaco.
Yeah, next week's
race.
Right.
What are your predictions, Daniel?
All right, so I'm predicting Piastri, Verstappen, Norris.
I know. I think that we could probably predict them for every podium for the rest of the year, and we'd probably be fairly accurate with that. It's the way that everything's going. I'm going to predict Verstappen, Piastri, Russell.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
So
putting Russell in third is probably the way to go. I think
he does.
He's been clinching there.
He's great in quali, and he's usually pretty much on. And this race is going to be really key with qualification.
Right.
Verstappen messed up last year on quali just by a hair. Yep. And that's what lost him the whole race.
I mean, it's wherever you qualify is kind of where you're going to end up. So
typically, but they're changing some stuff up this year. So we'll talk about that next week. But yeah.
All right.
Yeah, should be pretty exciting next week. So thank you guys. It's been good talking to you.
Hey,
Daniel, it was always fun.
Yeah. Follow us, like, subscribe, comment.
You know what to do on your platform.
For sure.
Yeah, but we're here for you. So keep staying passionate, man.
Thank you, Craig.
Hey, I'm here for you.